Buenos días para todos y todas.
Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alberto Scavarelli, and I am the director of the National Civil Service Office of the Presidency of the Republic. This is a body that is not very well known, maybe, but it is related to everything that has to do with the management of public functions. It's the design, the disciplinary project, collective bargaining, that is to say, a very wide range of activities within the pyramidal structure of the Presidency of the Republic that has the President and the Secretariat of the President, the Office of Planning and Budget, and then the Office of Civil Services, although there are many other very important departments besides this one. But in this case, this event is related to the powers of the executive power, which is presided by the President of the Republic. But as you may know, the Constitution also provides for a Council of Ministers. Now, AGESIC is like the flagship of the civil service and is our relationship with this amazing world to which we belong, that we always admire. Life someone offers us opportunities, and God willing, in February, for the third time, we'll attend the summit of ministers of the government in Dubai, which is a kingdom of fantasy, because it's amazing the things you see there. In this meeting, the main personalities of the world concur, and there's the managing director of the IMF and also the Secretary General of the United Nations, and they have something that they call the Museum of the Future. And during that week, there are presenters who make speeches about the challenges of human knowledge and also applied technology. Nowadays, we are surprised and sometimes worried about the new developments, because human talent and human management capabilities are being coupled with artificial intelligence that you develop in this world at the moment. And this intelligence develops new tools and new IT procedures. For us who are in a different world, the challenge has always been something that is called in philosophy epistemology. The development of technology has always been based on philosophical ideas that guide this development. From positivism to our days, technological actions were always based on philosophical and ethical principles that guided them. Technology and applied science in this field, as in many others, have new developments, and one of them has been cloning, that made us face a problem of biotechnology that we didn't know how to manage. And as usual, when something is unknown, you react with fear and concern sometimes. And by that I mean the phenomenon that you are managing, which for us is a quasi-miracle. For us, what you do has to do with the destiny of many procedures. I was talking to Castro and other people who have IT knowledge in our office and have now become very important in our organization. And I asked them, what can I tell them in this context, in an event of such a level, and maybe sow a seed of curiosity for what we could do in the future. So, firstly, I would like to state that in a constitutional country and in the rule of law, all instruments applied in the government's policy, when these policies have been reached by consensus have to lead to a mechanism that is secure, transparent, easy to manage or easy to controllable, in order to achieve in the most secure and manner possible the implementation of public policies in a way that can be repeated. Now, in all fields of life, we need information, and without information, no matter how talented people are, there's no intelligent policy. And in this short presentation, I want to tell you about the vision on the other side, the vision of those of us who are just renting this office of governing, and tell you how we apply public policies. Sometimes they are the result of complex processes, and we look at them tranche by tranche, and we don't realize the full weight of the whole comprehensive process. The citizens vote, the government is elected, the government bases its action on a budget that it adjusts, and what the people have voted has to be implemented. And this is reality on the one side and operational capacity on the other side. And this capacity is the big challenge. Public functions are limited by two great walls through which you circulate. On the one hand, there's the legal framework, which is restrictive, as it should. So there is an area to which you shouldn't go, even though you see the legal framework as an obstacle. And the other wall would be the technology and the framework of applied technology. So legal aspects, technological aspects, and in between, human capabilities, which are irreplaceable. We don't know what the future will bring, and the big temptation is to forget that human sensitivity will always be behind what we do, and it's this human sensitivity that will finally push the enter button. So we have cross-cutting objectives. Cross-cutting is a word that is fashionable. Cross-cutting, transparent, these are the words that come up again and again. The sense of being cross-cutting is related to criteria that determine that there are roles and tasks that the government has assigned that go beyond a focal point. Like everything else in life, there are actions that are microscopical and others that are telescopical. There are big lenses and lenses that enhance a certain point. And cross-cutting means a panoptic vision of reality, a very large vision that collects information, has to translate it to a common language, and takes it to a field that is quasi-statistic, and then link it to Parliament, where things become uncertain, because you have to take their figures and details and policies, because all these matters become more and more complex every day. And when you scratch the surface, you see that reality has already escaped. So in these processes, you have to be surrounded by others all the time. Whenever you make a decision, our capabilities and our qualities in management is a sum of the value of those who are around us. Maybe we have the last word as those who are responsible, but the grid of decisions is such that at the end of the day, we have to make choices that may not be so clear. And that happens with Dr. Hendra, who is the Assistant Director of the office. And imagine what it's like for the President of the Republic, who has to make choices between options that maybe are not so clear. So we have to rely on information that has to be trustworthy. This is essential. How does the information become trustworthy? Some of the information comes from our own research. Let's say the tax administration. This is a body that has the capability of analyzing the life of the taxpayers or big corporations or companies that have a certain duty, and they take sample and biopsies of the tax situation of the country. Now, when something is cross-cutting, the tasks are completely different. We have to have a team, a technology, an apparatus, and Genexus has been fundamental in this. And it's clear that, given my function, I don't find it easy to speak about brands. But my experts tell me that we have databases that are breaking international records. We have 20,000 civil servants, and we need to include 80,000, and there will be a second level of the government, the autonomous municipal governments, that will also be included eventually. Well, something that is cross-cutting means to collect information to afterwards design policies that will also be applied in a cross-cutting manner. If I had more time, I could bore you further explaining other functions. But to make this easier, let's assume that in the state or in the government, everything is at the same level, but this is a simplification, of course. Let's assume there are no levels. Now, these functions, why are they cross-cutting? We necessarily depend on the information that is provided by each one of the state bodies that the civil service has to control. And it will be this year not only state entities, but also the joint stock companies or the state-owned enterprises, the parastatal organizations such as the energy company, the phone company. They were not within our radar until now, but they have become, they have entered our radar, and they mean that our work has increased by 87%, our workload. So in a few months, we have to have everything ready in order to go to Parliament afterwards to give explanations, and then things become even more complex because there are a lot of rules that politics apply. So you have to go there with more than explanations. But as everything in life that is essential, the time comes to say yes or no. And luckily, our division has been able to say yes, because there has been a vocation for work and a technological development among our civil servants that have allowed us to make progress. We have a screen, we have a projector that allow us to make informed decisions with experts, and these are techniques that are not usually applied in the public administration, and believe me, I've been there long enough to know it. At the beginning, these things seem difficult to understand, but then they allow any of us who participate in this kind of event to have a comprehensive vision, to know where we are going, why we're going there, and what are the motivations and the limitations we may face. So this information collection means that we have to trust those who inform us, but then, of course, we have to verify everything, and we have cross-information, and we cross the data provided by one state office to what the BPS, the bank in charge of affiliations, informs us, and we see that there is misinformation in some cases, or there are voids because things don't progress at the same speed. The civil servant division is in charge of a lot of tasks, and my colleagues have drawn a list that I'm keeping here in my pocket, and I'm trying to resist the temptation of taking it out. But anyway, the important thing is that among these activities, some of them have really impacted us, and I'm going to take out the list finally, because I don't want to make mistakes when I come to the figures. So let me find my glasses first. Firstly, some figures that I think are important. I'm going to name the cross-cutting systems. Cross-cutting systems, first of all, is Uruguay Concursa, a contest, so to speak. It's a single window for all of the Uruguayans, and they can all apply for something, or they can all get to this window. And during the last year, we've had 420,000 people who have applied to various types of contests, and there have also been more than 1 million people who have applied for some kind of contest. And sometimes it's not individuals, it's companies that apply, or maybe there's a person who applies to more than one contest. But this means that we have more than 1 million people that want to enter the system, and nobody wants public servants, but then people apply to the function of civil servants, so it's like monopolies and oligopolies, and this opposition. So Uruguay Concursa is something that applies to the whole country. And then the Registry of State Vehicles, public vehicles. Very soon there will be electronic certificates, so we're very proud of this. And we see that there are 306 links referred to a great number of people. And then we have the administration of human resources at the level of the central administration. It analyzes, for example, whether the civil servants have been present in the workplace and the number of users. And this area that I was told about yesterday, that is related to GenX's activities, is one of the most significant ones considering the number of users. Then we have the model of files that will allow us, by using your instruments, to have electronic files for civil servants. And for the first time, the state will know how many civil servants it has and what they know how to do, which is a mystery today. You have to call people and ask them. But we will have all the information in our computers very soon, and we are also, again, very proud about this. People present in the workplace. Presentism, it's called in Uruguay. Well, it has a lot of users in the country, and we are going to apply it to the second level of government. Firstly, we have the central government, the legislative power, the judicial power, the executive power, and the second level would be the municipal and provincial governments, and then the third level we have the mayors and their governments, but I won't tell you about this third level. So your event has to do with reinvention, and I would have loved to have some time to discuss this concept. I like the concept of reinventing, because from a philosophical point of view, the conception may be different. Also etymologically, reinvention may be different because it's part of your métier. But the important thing is that a civil service, these last times, and I want to be careful, because it would seem that each government operator did everything from scratch. That is why in Uruguay we have so many first events, the first Congress of etc. The organizers always want to be the first one. No, in my case, I'm aware that this is the consequence of a process of accumulation. And in a society like ours, you build step by step, brick by brick, and some of those bricks are underground, but they are still an essential part of the process. So I want to recognize those who have preceded me in time, and they have built all this building from the ground. And now I can tell you that we have a lot of IT engineers working for us, and I don't want to make the other powers jealous. So in this building process, we are talking about 23,000 users and 85 executing units. So what's the most important issue we face? It's that everything refers to famous public reform. The civil service has changed. It used to have a macro approach from the top to the bottom, but now we are trying to change the structures from within. But what's very important to bear in mind, in our opinion, is that in any of these mechanisms, it's not possible to act with responsibility without programming the instrument that allows us to be the support for our division, and applied technology, which allows us to adapt to the purposes we want to achieve. Open government, closed government, all these expressions that are so important for the democratic government nowadays have a fundamental feature. It's not only about informing. You have to inform the truth and also to be easy to understand and provide quality information. So I would like to leave with you the vision of the receiver of the actions of technology, the technology that is part of your world. I don't know how far you will go, and we have some concerns because we work in a different field of decision. And I see this because I see it at an international level, even the Secretary General of the UN, where artificial intelligence will take us. I heard by streaming the leader of GeneXus, and I understood more about a phenomenon that for us is difficult to understand. But anyway, we should always bear in mind that all the processes in course will have to adapt to the technological offer that comes from you and the criterion of applied science, applied technology, always bearing in mind that we have to be custodians of human people, of human life, and the best software won't be good if it does not improve the life of people. It's difficult to establish help assistance policies if we don't have information. A recent example is the Mexican earthquake. And I saw this with Hurricane Mitch in Honduras. The main drama for decision makers is not to have quantitative and qualitative information about what's going on. They have to decide in the dark. And this is a great danger when you have to make decisions. That is why the light that technological processes bring to the development of information, and this will lead in turn to more intelligent decisions for the government and in implementation of the governmental culture. So I will end on this note, but let me end by saying that it has been a great pleasure to participate in an event like this one, to convey these 4 or 5 ideas that I would summarize by saying that this is part of a government process. If we want to make public functions more clear, more concrete, more precise, and if we make decisions based on amplified information. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll be